for it. I have a massive respect for Islam because they have principles which they refuse to bend on. And we live in a world now where every single principle is being constantly bent and broken. Yeah. And I like to see a fundamental, or I like to see a mental model which is rigid.
Yeah.
There's nothing left rigid anymore. The law isn't rigid. Christianity isn't rigid. Like the only thing you can sit there and say they will not bend or they will not break is Islam. So I have absolute respect for them because it's just a masculine imperative. It's just a masculine mindset to have. And as a man, I respect people who say what they mean what they say. Those are the rules. Oh, you don't like it? Tough. And besides Islam, there's not much of that left in the world now. Yeah. Now everything's just bending and breaking and they're making it up. Yeah. Like, I think Christianity is a joke. I think it's a joke of a religion. If someone were to ask me my religion, I would have to say, if I was to find God, it would have to be via Islam, because how am I going to go to a Christian church when they got gay pastors and shit? The Bible says no, and you're just ignoring it. What is this? It's not even a thing. Like, to me, it's a joke of a religion now. I think it's a joke. So if you're gonna bend all your own rules, if you're gonna be tolerant of everything and stand for nothing, then I don't think you have anything.
It was actually a video before this video. I believe I was on a podcast and I was explaining how much respect I have for the faith of Islam, and how it's a faith which is formidable and it's a faith that needs to be respected. If somebody says, look, the Muslims are angry at you, then it matters. But if someone says the Christians are angry at you, nobody cares anymore, right? And this is what I was trying to say. I have a lot of respect for the faith. I'm not a practicing Muslim. However, I do have absolute respect for it. Hey, absolutely. I mean, but like I said, my own personal journey, I think it's taking a little bit of time. I know people often ask me, what religion are you? And it's hard for me to answer that specifically. When I am in Dubai or near a mosque, I feel an energy that I'm at peace with and I enjoy.
Wow.
But I can't say it's not true also about particular churches here in Romania. So for now, all I know is I need to be a good person. And that's what I'm trying to do. But I have, and I stated it in the last podcast before, people often ask me, which religion when they ask me which religion I am, I make it very clear the religion I have the most respect for is Islam. It's not even close. It has to be. Yeah, it's actually amazing how in many ways, like you're saying, Jesus is one part of it, but in many ways, obviously there's key differences, but in many ways there's a lot of similarities. And it's kind of funny to me, whereas Christianity in the modern world has become such a laughingstock. And it has been, because people don't practice it in any kind of strict way anymore, really. And people say, oh, Islam's so strict. And I say, look, a lot of the rules of Islam are also in the Bible. You're a Christian who's never read it. Like, you've never read your own Bible. You don't know what your own rules are. So it's amazing how similar a lot of the tenets of the two religions are. It's just Islam and Muslims are the last people who take it seriously and practice it in a way it should be practiced and respect it. And that's why I think I first kind of went viral in the Islamic world when I said, look, I have so much respect for Muslims as a whole and the way they view their faith and how seriously they take it. I don't understand why you have these girls who call themselves Christians and they're drinking on Saturday night, meeting boys, doing whatever, and then going to church on the next day. That doesn't feel real to me. Does that make sense? So, I was getting crazy messages all over Instagram, lots and lots of messages, and I think a lot of people were very surprised by what I said, but it's very true. I mean, what I say is the Islamic faith, and I've said it already on this podcast, it's taken seriously, it's respected by its tenets, and it's very much like, let me give an analogy. If you don't respect your own house, if you walk into somebody's house and it's a mess, you're not going to worry about making a mess or about cleaning up after yourself or leaving a cup on the coffee table, right? But if you walk into someone's house and it's pristine, then you're going to be very, very concerned about making a mess. And Muslims have so much respect for themselves that people automatically respect the religion as a whole, whereas Christians don't. And this is the thing. We talk about things having longevity. We talk about things lasting into the future, especially religions as a whole. If you become tolerant of everything to the point where, like Christianity is now, where they say, oh, we're tolerant. Well, if you're so tolerant you ignore your own book, then what are you? Do you know where I'm coming from? And that's why I have so much so much respect for the Islamic faith. And that's why it's the one I would bet on. And when I say bet on, I mean, I know Muslims will be here in 100 years. What does Christian mean today? Very little. What's it going to mean in 100 years? Nothing. Let's be honest, right? So that's also another really interesting way to look at it, because then I start to look at things and say, okay, well, you have to choose which religion or which faith you believe is the true faith. But if one faith survives and the other faith is annihilated in real time, that tells you a lot as well, doesn't it? Doesn't that tell you a lot?
Absolutely.
So it's really interesting for me. It's like I have not made any kind of final decisions, etc. But I try and analyze things from a very, very logical perspective. I know God exists, and then you go, okay, God exists, and there's all these different interpretations of God as such. But the only one I see which has a warrior class that people fear is Islam. That's the only one there is.
Islam fixes a lot of the problems that men are currently facing. Yeah. The problems we're discussing on this show, Islam fixes all of them, right? That's the first thing about Islam. And I'm not a Muslim, but if I had to bet on one religion as if I were betting on the stock market for the future, you have to bet on Islam. Because Muslims are intolerant. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully, because if you're tolerant of everything, then you stand for nothing.
Yeah.
Facts.
Christians are so tolerant now. You don't believe it. They have gay pastors that I'm not even anti-gay, but if the book says don't have, like, what do you believe in now?
Right, yeah.
If you're tolerant of everything, you stand for nothing. And I respect people who stick up for what they believe in.
Yeah.
It's not even about me believing in it. I respect them because they believe and they will defend. Muslims are the only people who will defend their religion. They will defend their beliefs. They refuse to be mocked. They refuse to be insulted. And I respect that about them. I respect that. That's an amazing thing about them, right? And the third point is, and I've been all around the world, some of the best countries in the world today are the first world Muslim nations.
Yeah.
Qatar, you can go to Qatar, you can fall asleep with $1 million on your lap in the middle of the street. Nothing's going to happen to you.
Saudi Arabia as well.
You can go to Saudi, nothing will happen to you. You can go to Dubai, UAE, nothing's going to happen to you.
They leave their cars parked with the keys inside.
It's so safe.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's so safe. Women, everyone's married. Every woman obeys her husband. Every single woman has 4, 5, 6 kids. Big families. All the things we're talking about, all the problems we have here, right? They've got none of that. None of it. Because of Islam. Islam keeps society in the role where women obey their man. Women have children. Women have big families. Women are exceptionally happy to do so.
Yes.
Before some Western girl comes in here and runs her mouth, the Islamic women are happier than any I've seen in the club tonight.
They're very true.
They're happy. Society is functioning. Society is functioning. And that's what society is. Society starts at the smallest possible group. You have families, and families make a street, and that street makes a village, and that village makes a town, that town makes a city, and that city makes a country. So if it's broken at the very fundamental level, if its family level's broken, then it's broken the whole way up.
Yep.
And that's what's happened in the West. And the first world Islamic countries have none of those problems. So if you're going to talk about a belief system that fixes issues, you need to go to Islam.
And I will say this
that will fix everything. I just have absolute, even though I wouldn't identify as Muslim, I have absolute respect for the ideology, respect for the mentality, respect for the warrior aspect of it. I respect it.
They don't play.
They don't play. But you can insult the church all day. You can make fun of it. There's a show on Netflix about a gay Jesus. That's a joke, right? Ha, ha, ha. And what do the Christians do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Christianity is a dead religion. If you're a Christian, and I'm saying this as a Christian myself, Christianity is a dead religion which is confined to the history books. It's dying out. Your own Pope. The Pope goes up there and talks LGBTQ.
Crazy.
It is over.
That's
you don't
crazy.
stand for anything. You don't believe in anything. You have no boundaries. You're walked on. You're mocked. The whole thing is a joke. Being a Christian now is nothing more than advertising. It's a losing religion because you've lost to Islam.